Jay, would you say in general that I'm the kind of person who can admit when I'm wrong? Or do you think I struggle with
Yeah,
that?
no, I feel like you do,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to prove you right here today. In 3, 2, 1. All right, shut up, everyone. I need to have this conversation with you because I went on a long time without even realizing that I was wrong. And now that I am, I don't have to say this, but I feel like if I can save someone else from this prerogative, it'll be a benefit to society. French students, anyone who took high school French is going to have a problem with me, but I'm just going to say it. It is actually LaCroix and not Lacroix. And I took French in high school. I always thought it was Lacroix. I argued with people about it. I scoffed. Ugh, you have obviously no idea of the French language. And it turns out if you do your research, the CEO wanted to call it LaCroix on purpose. And it's not just Americans being Americans. So what I mean by all that, of course, is to say that it's time once again for the Disney Pod Classics. Today, we've got a heater of a film. It's 101 Dalmatians. My name for this episode will be known as Horison, and my cohort, as always, will be Jasper. Jasper, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Very interesting fact about LaCroix.
I know
we actually have a puppy toy of a LaCroix can. So nice little tie into this movie.
There you go. Bring it
We're
out.
sick.
Chew on it when you get angry, dude. Let's do it. This movie, obviously, like I said, 101 Ds. Big fan. I don't think my social security is on this one, so that's good. 1961, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
I gotta love being correct, except for LaCroix. Jay, how you feeling? Where are you at?
Yeah.
I'm in a weird place. Let's do this,
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So as a child, this movie was one of my favorites. It's probably the third or fourth Disney movie that I've watched the most. Like this one, and then the newer like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, I would say would be the top three. And then 101 was right behind that. So love this movie as a kid. It's always nostalgic watching it. It hits a lot of points that I really enjoy in Disney movies, especially the snow scenes, as you know.
As we all know.
But actually, most interestingly, about a year and a half ago, I went to London for the first time.
Oh boy.
And I went to the real life places of where this movie takes place, the parks that they go to, the Twilight Bark, I did walk the whole grounds, went to all the parks and everything. Disney Plus, watched it on my phone in the park, watching the scenes because I'm just that much of a Disney nerd.
Romantic Disney evening with yourself.
I centered multiple days of a very short London trip on 101 Dalmatian locations.
Dalmatian location.
Yeah, I know. Right. I know. So it was the second time that I've seen it since then, and it just adds a whole nother layer of how realistic these scenes are based on what it actually looks like even 50, 60 years later.
Would you say it holds up? Like, was that a gratifying experience for you to see
it?
Yes. We're all worth it.
You can essentially go to Roger's house in this. Like that's how, because it's all Victorian
housing. It's like the Full House in San Francisco.
Exactly.
But more important.
And way more cool as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It really was incredible, and geographically everything is very close, so it's realistic.
You make a day of it.
Yeah, and it's realistic that the dogs would go to like the Twilight Bark location, which is Primrose Hill, because it's right next to where the house is. Like they actually spent time looking at a map and seeing what is realistic, which
of course,
I mean, I find amazing.
It.
Yeah, it added a lot more depth to this movie.
Yeah. I guess it does remain to be said, if you're new here and you've never watched this and you're not my mother or young Leonardo DiCaprio, you might wonder why Jay's talking about this in general. And I should say what we do here at the Disney Pod Classics is, I would say, incredibly important, necessary for society, necessary for ourselves as well. We grew up, as Jay's obviously alluding to, we grew up watching these movies almost religiously, maybe dangerously close to. And it kind of shaped us, formed us in who we are, these journeys that we were taken on from old Walt D himself. And now here we are, almost like 30 or 60 or somewhere in between that. And it's time for us to go back through them one by one, look at how these look now with our decrepit, old, failing eyesight and, lack of hearing, reading the subtitles. You get it. You're there. So, it's important to look back. And for me, I also, loved this movie. This was a huge one for me. You can even see, like, I know if you're familiar with VHSs, you can see this one's got the old dub and T, or as we say, the old wear and tear. This was a big one for me. This was a big one for my sisters, and it's a big one for me now. Like, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, you just went to London within the past couple of years. Did you like this movie watching it again after watching it in the middle of Hyde Park or wherever you were?
Yeah.
Hill.
Yeah, I love it. And it already was nostalgic, but now it reminds me of that trip as well. So it's
how good.
Yeah, this movie will always hold a special place in my heart. And it is it's not quite in the top 5. I couldn't convincingly say that, but it's like no more than 7. It's like 5, 6, or 7 in that world.
It's a tough thing to nail that top 5 down. I think we eventually should try and start crafting our own lists at some point, because that's the number one Disney debate between any two people who grew up watching it. Like, you talk top 5, it's like we don't have time to get into it, or at least those are the circles I run into. I wouldn't take what we say too seriously, but we're going to get into it. Tell me, besides the actual physical locations and what you've seen, what do you know about this movie when it came out? What actual factual knowledge can we provide besides just our blasphemous opinions?
Yeah, the movie was extremely successful. It was re-released many times over, and it only had a budget of 3.6 million. And coming off of Sleeping Beauty, which was released 2 years prior, that movie was extremely expensive, didn't do that well in the box office. And so the right turn that Disney took for the next couple decades in making these movies much more efficient and less a different style of the art in the movie. And this movie was the first one. It knocked it out of the park. And it's like when, a piece of crap in a business meeting is talking and says one good thing, and the CEO compliments him,
loves
and
him.
then can't shut up after that based on that one compliment.
Oh, man.
And that really does summarize not just this movie, but the next several decades. Is because this movie was so successful, they kept going to this well and making these, copy and paste type movies. And it didn't always hold up as well as this one did.
Were you, if you're being honest with yourself, were you ever that guy in class? Like, I mean, business meeting is a thing and it's frustrating, but it's professional setting. The rampant, brazen confidence that a, 5th to 9th grader could get, or even a college student, where you get that person who sits up at the front and starts like having a discussion with the professor. Has there ever been a time in your life where you've kind of gotten that way? Because I know there's been a couple times in my life where I've gotten a little big for my britches and been like, I am very smart and everyone should listen to me.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure at some point, someone's going to have some grainy Nokia footage of me in middle school, but
it's going to be like
not
6
yet.
pixels. And it's like, is that Jay, dude?
Yeah, exactly.
You crying?
Yeah.
With what you're saying about the copy and paste, I did do a little research of my own, if you can believe that. I do know how to read, and that's why the teachers loved me. They called it something to do with Xerox. I don't remember what the name of it was called, but one thing I found out that I was very surprised and didn't have time to watch, because I was rewatching this movie again, is they made a short film to test it out called Goliath 2. And I looked it up and it looks like you can find it on YouTube. And it's the first kind of test run with this Xerox style, instead of hand, the painting and whatever, hand drawing the artist's depiction. And I guess it went really well. And it looked interesting. I saw like a little elephant walking into a crocodile's mouth and the mom elephant like pulling it out and talking to him. I will definitely, not to give you homework, but have it on my desk by fucking Wednesday, dude. Like, let's watch this and talk about it,
I love it.
Yeah.
The easiest way to summarize it is the movies in the past, it was Lady and the Tramp, Peter Pan, Sleeping Beauty. Think about that style of movie versus 101 Dalmatians, Soren the Stone, Aristocats. This is such a pivotal point in the creation of these movies.
And there will never be another contrast the same as Sleeping Beauty versus this. Like the instant this movie starts, you just are like, this is a completely different direction. I was commenting about that. I was watching it with Dale and my mom. And Dale was like, well, I just kind of feel like Disney could do anything. You know, like I think they could make any movie. I'm like, yeah, we know that now. But if you're in 1959 and you've seen like these fairy tales and all of a sudden it's like a jazzy, like weird upbeat kind of, it's like, who the hell, like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
Pencil
is
sketch.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bold.
The other thing I found that was interesting is that this was actually one of the, like, it was most popular almost in France. And like, it was the #1 movie in France in 1961, and like 14 million people went to see it in theaters. Like it was a hit there. And you just never, I would have thought London, it would be a big deal, but France just picked this up and ran with it like a warm croissant or a croissant, depending on what CEO you're talking to.
Perfect.
Yeah. I also, there's an interesting, like the journeys that these movies take, the things that, you know, we love about it, and then how different it could have been. Apparently there was almost a song with Horace and Jasper, and a song from the puppies that were escaping, and both of them were killed.
Yep.
And then apparently this one kills me, dude. Just imagine this. Some animator, so it was like the 9 old men that it was passed to, and they did different characters, whatever. There was one guy who was told to do Anita, the wife in this movie, and Walt didn't like it and gave it to somebody else, and that's the guy who did the thing. Can you imagine working your ass off? You got a job at Disney Studios, you're just drawing, penciling in. Walt comes over your shoulder one day, is like, I hate it, and in fact you're off the job. Not change it, not let's go in a different direction, like actually Johnson's gonna do it from now on. And now Johnson's the one who has Anita's credit on this movie that has now grossed like $261 million in box office or something crazy over its lifetime value. It is just a devastating, like that guy sits at home just watching it nights, and his wife's like, come to bed. He's like,
Yeah.
it could have been me.
Should have made her a brunette. Damn it.
Yeah, just insane. You got anything else on this movie?
98% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Well deserved.
which is, yeah, well deserved, and glad to see it. Not that
There's not a lot
that
up
means
there.
anything,
There
but
really isn't. It's like Shawshank. Like, I think that's it. Shawshank.
Yeah,
and How to
yeah.
Hunt Jeeves.
Shawshank and Pongo.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that, yeah, it is a good movie. Let's talk about it a little bit. But before we get into the chapters, I do want to give a small shout out to our sponsor for this video. Thank you so much. It's actually the anonymous animals that are on Google Docs when it's shared, but you're not signed in. Whoever came up with that kind of stuff, really genius. I've got a couple examples for you. There's some animals multiple times that I'm like, what the hell is that? Have to look it up. Couple options. Quokka, which is actually an Australian, very cute, smiley animal. If you haven't seen one of those before, it'll change your life. Go look up a quokka. There's an anonymous pumpkin. There's an anonymous blobfish, which is a real thing. Then they get into anonymous auroch, ancient cow, which apparently is like idealized in ancient civilizations. And then, and I don't know how to say this one. I actually should have looked that up. It's an axolotl. A lot of consonants. It's like a walking fish or a salamander. That is a real thing. So yeah, big shout out to our sponsor, those anonymous animals, and whoever came up with them. Jay, you got anything to say with your experience with those?
I actually don't know what you're talking about, and I live in the Google world.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to find. It's when you're not signed in, but someone has a link. They get on there, and all of a sudden it says anonymous axolotl is editing the doc, and you're like,
okay.
That's not who I invited to the party, but yeah, but thanks. Great shout out, Jay. But yeah, thanks again for sponsoring the episode.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Back to you, Harrison.
Yeah, I guess they just sent it to me then. I'm getting the check. Jay, why don't you kick us off into chapter 1?
Yeah. So they have the cool jazzy intro. You meet Roger and Pongo, and they end up meeting Anita and Perdy. They get married. And then you get introduced to Corella. The puppies end up getting born. And then there is the couple canine crunchies and scenes like that. And then there is the dog napping. So intro, really fun. Always love the intro, and it might be the first jazz song that I've ever heard in my life, actually. Side note.
Good point.
The question, jumping towards the end of chapter 1, Anita and Corella have that conversation where she's counting down the weeks of when the puppies are going to be born. She leaves and she's like, 3 weeks. And then she comes back. nothing really changes in terms of why they would not let her have a puppy then versus any concerns that they had 3 weeks prior.
Sure.
So what was Anita thinking Corella was doing when she was counting down when the puppies were arriving? Like, what was Anita's plan? Like, did she just not communicate this to Corella, or did this confuse you?
I have a note that's just like, who spilled the beans to Cruella that this was even happening? Like, Cruella could have gone her whole life and never known
Wow,
that they
that's a
were
good
actually going to be having puppies. Like, why would you tell this psychopath about it, who's like addicted to furs and just is just a very like abrasive personality? Like, who even told her? But then, especially when she walks in, like, where are the mangy little brutes? Like, I think at that point there are probably some red flags that they picked up on, where it's like, okay, she's talking about, like, if you walk into someone's house and start like talking about their new kids, like, where are the little pieces of shit? I want to see them. Let me see them. Oh, when will they be ready? When will they be ready? Where are they? Where are they? It's like, maybe this is a bad idea. Maybe, do you think that they did intend to sell some of them before and then realize that she was gonna pop them off?
Well, I don't think that they had any wait lists or anyone else that was going to take the puppies. So I think it was like Corella was going to take them all, or they were going to keep them all, and there's nothing really in between.
Yeah, it seems like
It's kind of just a weird plot thing.
It is,
but I don't understand what Anita was thinking. And you brought up a better point. Why did they ever let Corella know this?
Yeah,
But
I just picture it like they're at their job or something, which I think of just because of the live action
yeah,
Glenn Close, which
Yeah.
I will say I did watch 10 minutes of that just because I had the 101 D's fever, and watched like the first 10 minutes, and that will be a fun one to go through if we ever get around to it. I loved that movie back then, but
Yeah.
maybe they work together, and she's just super intimidated by her, and she's like, "So, Anita, darling, what's new?" And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm having, I guess we're having puppies soon." What puppy? Like, I just don't know how the hell this slips out, but it must have
Yeah.
been a blunder.
What breed? What breed?
Tell me about the coats. No. Why are you celebrating, Corella? I don't know. That's an interesting one. This is an interesting, like, it's such an iconic setup for me. And this, like, this, I feel like I have this memorized in my subconscious somewhere. It's taking up like all the space that calculus could have had and never got a chance to stay in my brain, because I've just got like the entire first chapter. But I will say I look at this one very differently, because you never really realize how much Pongo almost resents Roger, as like an eligible bachelor who's just like a lazy piece of crap and doesn't actually like go out and try and put himself out there. I just, like, as a kid, I always thought they were just kind of a team. Pongo wants to see some excitement, but you look at it and you're like, I actually can relate to Roger in a lot of different ways there. Like, he's not that bad, is he? And my mom's like, why isn't he clean his apartment? Like, you just realize like Roger doesn't have it all together. I always kind of picture how old do you think he is? How old did you say Roger is?
I think he's probably 33.
Yeah, I realized I always thought he was like 40 something. And then I looked at this, I was like, he could be 28. Like, this is not that far off. Like him
No,
having
no,
a
this is not
dog
that
in his
far
like
off.
1-bedroom studio apartment downtown London, and meeting a woman, and like they might just
Doesn't really have a
that might
job
just
that's
be
been successful.
exactly. That's pretty much me right there without the Dalmatians. So thanks, Roger.
Yeah.
One up on me once again. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. Just like you look at it with a different view, where it's like, that's a person I can understand a lot differently than I did back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's way more fun to have it be narrated by Pongo. Like I'm not sure how big of a Roger fan I am
Whoa.
in this watch. It's
Wow.
not that I dislike him, but when you're dealing with Pongo and Perdy and even Anita, I really like as well.
Really? She kind of threw me bitch vibes, to be honest.
No.
Yeah,
Anita's sweet.
if you run into a girl at the park and the first thing she says when you accidentally knock her into the stream is, my new coat and my hat, get away from me, you've done enough. It's like, that's already the kind of person that I'm not super attracted to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to handle that. And like immediately being like, oh, my coat, my suit, my hat, like all this stuff. It's like, I get it. No one likes to be punched into a bog at the middle of winter in London, but there's better ways to handle it, I thought. And that, Anita fell off for me a little bit.
You would definitely bring up something that was ruined when falling into the pond. Like you would say your phone. You wouldn't.
Maybe phone.
I mean, come on. Everyone would.
But like out loud, not to the person who accidentally knocked me in. I would be like, my phone. Like, no shot.
You got to make it clear in case you need to sue their ass and get a new phone.
My
So
phone,
yeah.
you'll hear from my lawyers. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would. I think I would, especially if it was an attractive woman who knocked me in. That's the last thing I would say. 100%. Just like, I guess we have to get married now. Nice dog. Like, I don't, not that though. I wasn't into it. You bring up a good point with them having the puppies. Like, let's talk about when that actually happens. I mean, they've got enough money to like afford a maid, but they don't seem like they've got the space for 15 extra dogs. So it does surprise me. But one of my most like favorite scenes in this whole movie, it's not my top, but it is up there, and I use it a lot, is the when Roger takes the little puppy and brings it
Oh
back
yeah.
to life. And yet I wonder, and he rubs a little bit. I will do that with like a chicken breast or a croissant if I have one. I will just if I see something that can fit in my hand, I Roger it real quick, which I think
That's
is
awesome.
actually not good slangs in some country. But one thing I did think about with this though, imagine like he pretty much brought a puppy back to life. Do you think Anita ever heard the end of that? And like, how many years was it where he stopped being like, I know I haven't had any hit songs, but do you remember when I literally brought something back to life with my hands?
Yeah.
Like, that's
remember when we had 14 puppies?
Yeah, I guess it'd be a different world if we had only 14 per se. But thankfully. Oh wait, I did resurrect one. That's right, with my bare hands. Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. I feel like that's a flex for the ages, right?
No, it would be dinner parties. Yeah.
She comes in, all the guys are smoking cigars.
Like, and then I have it, and I'm just sitting there, and I go, I wonder.
You normally
just drunk at a bar.
Yeah, she's like, you need to sleep somewhere else. It's like, I'm telling you what.
Oh God, here comes that puppy guy.
Puppy back to life. Not enough. I just not. But I also picture him just walking around town, because if that happened to you, you'd kind of wonder like, what's going on here? Like, if he kind of went to like a dead plant or something after that, it was like, and yet I wonder, and just gave it a shot, see if he's got like an actual power for it. But Roger is kind of a bit of a knob in this movie, I will agree.
Yeah, I'd love to see him at a funeral.
Why?
Because he'd go up to the body.
I got this one. I know you're sad. Watch this.
Exactly.
And yet I wonder.
What if I said I could bring it back to life? Stop crying, everyone.
It's okay. I'm here.
I guarantee.
I'm here.
Joe Namath style.
He's just rubbing a face of someone open casket. Like,
I don't think it's working. I'm gonna go now.
I'm gonna head out. Yeah, it's probably best if I leave. There is a lot of good stuff that happens. Like Canine Crunchies comes up. One of my favorite parts of this whole movie as well.
Yeah, there's a few different points. Right after the dog napping, Corella calls Horace and Jasper.
Yeah.
And she has that quote, no money until the job's done, right?
You'll settle for half.
Yeah. And she says, it's in the blinking papers. Yeah. And Corella says, hang the papers. It will be forgotten tomorrow.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, people move on quick.
But what does Corella want from this though?
She says, get over it. No one's going to pay attention to that later on. I think that's what she means. News moves quick, baby. This is the 21st century. No one gives a crap about the papers.
But what does it have to do with their conversation? Like, they just want to get paid. Well,
I love how quickly Horace decides to just cut the entire fee in half. Like, when was the last time you're trying to do something? Like, why haven't you paid me yet? It's like, okay, fine, just pay me half.
Yeah, exactly.
Immediately. I think that's so good. As far as Corella, I think she's just saying, get it done. Don't be talking about, the fact that you got a hot trail right now. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense.
What I am curious, because I know we've been here before. I'm curious, or this is either going to go great or it's not. Did you pay attention to their newspapers?
Yeah, of course I did.
What did you get from it? Because I tried really hard to find everything that was in it. It was a good portfolio this time. Tell me the ones that you got.
Yeah, so this was when Corella was reading the newspaper, and they had like the different cutouts. There was one about the mine, the people lost in the mine.
Nice.
Like 28. I can't remember the country now, but essentially, and it's the same story that was in Mr. Toad.
Yep.
It was the same
There's another
thing.
crossover one.
There was also like a rocket thing
Yeah.
as well.
Rocket,
What was that?
It was anti-rocket activists, I think it was. They had all
With Russia?
Yeah, like they had all congregated and there was a protest and there was a bunch of anti-rocket people, which was really interesting. I was actually talking about the newspapers that Horace and Jasper were reading in the car. And there was a bunch of them.
Yes.
I had Fantastic Boom. I don't know what it meant, but I saw English Girl in Italian Jail. I Drive into Africa's Rough Area. And then Pinky Misses, the Young Irishman will get to the top. And then another like Geneva Convention, which was back in Mr. Toad. I saw the anti-rocket demonstrators in jail. And then I just saw one that says Page One Baby, All Well.
Yeah.
I love those. I love when they do the details, man. And it changed every time they flip-flopped the newspaper.
Yeah.
Every time you look, it's a different one.
It was very sophisticated.
Those
It's
are
the best
hard-hitting facts we're
newspaper.
bringing you.
Yeah, it's the best newspaper clippings of any Disney movie. It's very sophisticated. And did you catch that the date of the newspaper was November 2nd, 1958?
No.
Which means the kidnapping or the dog napping happened on November 1st. And I would like to have like a informal remembrance of the day that the dog nappings happened every day at the end of Halloween. Like, wouldn't that be great to just like, oh God.
What if everyone did that?
I can't believe that happened, 64 years ago today.
You'd either do like a moment of silence, or if everyone got around to it, you'd do a human version of the Twilight Park, just in remembrance. Everyone would kind of bark from their room.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be pretty good.
Talk to your little puppy, You're so lucky.
Napped. Yeah, you have no idea how bad it is out there. The other thing that actually is a new one for me, something helpful instead of just my opinion. There's a moment where Jasper says to Horace, "There's no time to palaver." And I didn't know what that meant. Do you know what the word palaver means?
I do not.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it always threatens me in my intelligence when I don't know. So I looked it up. It means to unnecessarily elaborate or complex procedure. So he's just saying we don't have time to talk about this shit that long. So
yeah, don't complicate things.
Pretty good. Pretty good. The other thing that's big in this chapter, and I imagine you might have a little bit of an opinion on it. I'm hoping you can kind of usher me into a sweet, sweet segment we like to call Music Time with Jay, the part of the podcast where Jay talks about the real life applications of some of the songs. There's one song in this movie that's worth mentioning. It's previewed here, kind of like a sample drop. Jay, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I do. The song Cruella de Vil. Do you know that there was more than one version of Cruella de Vil, by the way?
No, I had no idea.
The other version, it's called the nonsense version, if you look it up on the album.
Whoa.
And it goes, nobody likes you, everybody hates you. Cruella de Vil, you are a monster, nothing but a monster. Cruella de Vil, you are mean through and through. Huh?
That's bringing something back for me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Everybody says phooey on you. Nobody likes you. Anyway, so it's very interesting, and I find that nonsense version gets stuck in my head from time to time. It's like no one knows what the hell this is. Like I just sound like a lunatic. But in terms of the Cruella de Vil song and where I think it would play into the modern world, I really see the ideal. Now, I would like the Cruella de Vil car to be like start being reproduced. Tesla or whatever.
Oh, the car.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
I would like this to be a car commercial, ideally for that car, but even if it was for Jeep, okay, let's just say the commercial happens and it is like a car driving up a dirt hill and you just hear like and then you show like another scene and then the car getting packed with groceries, kids piling in, and like each clip that it does, it's like and it never actually goes into the chorus or anything, and then at the end, black screen, white lettering, just look out for ... brand name.
Ooh.
Lexus, whatever the hell you want.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. Actually, I love that because that car is one of the most impressive vehicles I've ever seen anywhere. And so just having that wrapped up in your mind when you watch it's like it's triggering almost. That's pretty badass. I kind of love that, truthfully. I do love that. Nicely done, Jay. Nicely done.
Thank you.
With that, I say we go into chapter 2. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll hit us off. It starts off, the puppies have been kidnapped. Pongo and Perdy realize they use a gossip chain via dogs called the Twilight Bark. They find out through this network that the puppies have been captured, taken to the DeVille place. You kind of get the little view of what's going on in there. Jasper and Horace have captured all of them. They have 100 of them pretty much in there. Not quite, 99 in total. Pongo and Perdy come and rescue them along with the help of some of their friends along the way. Sergeant Tibbs, some others that we'll talk about. And then they get out after a large fight. They head to a dairy barn where they can seek shelter from the snowstorm that they're in. Now, Jay, you and I have...
Jasper.
Oh, yeah, Jasper.
Jasper.
You and I have had this discussion. You're not going to like me bringing it up, but we're going to talk about it. There is a circumstance in the DeVille place between Jasper and Horace. And I'll start it with this. Let's start it with this. If you had to commit a crime, which I know you do, who would you want to be your accomplice between Horace and Jasper? Who would you pick to do this crime with? Let's say it's a burglary, like in the movie, not because burglary is my favorite crime. I didn't say anything about burglaries in May.
I think the sleeper pick is Horace, and he's right. Like, Horace actually is right more than Jasper. Jasper just has more of the muscle. So I'm actually going to go with Horace.
Horace is not a bad pick. I feel like Jasper would be more fun to hang out with through that whole process, but he's not trustworthy. And Horace kind of just does, he voices his concerns, but he does do what he's told to a degree. Which
he's abusive too.
Yeah, that's very true. He's abused.
I don't want him beating me up.
That's
slamming
really
bottles on my head.
Yeah, clubs and whatnot. Okay, so Horace and Jasper have it out with each other. And when they're looking after all the puppies, Cruella comes in, she storms in, she says, you got to drown them, bash them on the head, I don't care. Do you have any chloroform? And, figure out how to do the deed. Now, they have two options given to them. One of them has to kill them. One of them has to skin them. And now I put myself in that situation and imagining you and me are in this predicament, which we would never find. We don't condone either of these actions.
Here we go.
Would you choose to do between having to kill 99 puppies or skin 99 puppies after some accomplice has killed them? Which do you do? Because I have thought about this for almost years and I cannot
You
decide.
should not think about this for years. There's
Why not?
better things to think. Yeah, there's better things to think about.
Like the Cruella nonsense version, you mean?
Yeah, actually, I would rather.
All right, well, tell me your take on it. This is a would you rather for the century.
I really hate this question. I'll put it this way. If it was like a deer or something, I would rather skin it.
Really?
Because I'm not watching the thing die in my hands. Or there's no way I could do that. I can't go hunting. I mean, these Disney movies have just brainwashed me
You saw
in
Bambi.
a good way that I would never harm an animal. So I would say the skinning, as gross as that might be, and it's very much is. No, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, what if I have a year to do this? I'm just sitting there watching what's my crime? I'm gonna take time.
That's good.
But I would say skinning because I wouldn't want to kill it. But once it's dead, I guess I could overcome that.
Walk out. That's a really good answer, actually. I feel like just the tactical know-how you got to do to be able to do that is really tough. And I wouldn't want my quality of work being whether or not we can use it for pelts.
Quality of work? What? Corella's having performance reviews for us? What are you talking about?
If Maleficent didn't check in for 15
her coat
years,
comes out like all chunky.
You're on the line for that, dude. I don't want to be the Skinner in that situation. But then that doesn't make me a murderer.
The whole concept is so messed up.
It is messed up. We can move on. But that was a pretty good answer, actually. That does make there's logic there. I do see what you're saying. Did you notice Lady and the Tramp during the Twilight Bark?
I did.
And if you don't know that, I'll probably put this up on the screen so you can see. It's not actually as exciting as I expected it to be. I heard about this ahead of time. Heard, through the grapevine that this was
through the Twilight Bark itself.
Actually, most of these Lady and the Tramp characters are in that Twilight Bark scene. Both the the floppy singing lady, I forget her name, and the I don't know dog stuff. That's a shame. Two other ones are in that pet shop.
There's like a four-legged one, and then like one with like two ears. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So in that Twilight Bark, I have a couple questions. And actually, I'm going to give this a shot because I think I've got this one down. Tell me how rate this on a scale of 1 to 10. Sounds like old Towser.
Oh, wow. I'd say like a 9.
Perfect.
Wow, way better than I thought.
Yeah.
I have no confidence.
Thanks. Are old Towser and the goose, are they married? Are they like a item? Like, there's that little section where they're, relaying the message.
That's a good question.
It's kind of a married couple vibe that I never picked up on before. Did you see that?
I've never thought that they were a couple, but I like the idea of it.
I love it. I think it's great. Yeah. Because they kind of get along. She's supportive. Oh, you'll never reach him at this hour. Like, well, you better stop barking. And it's like, why are they hanging out on a hill at nighttime if they're not like an old married couple out on a stroll or something,
It also would be very easy for Disney to cut that scene out. As much as I enjoy those characters, it is kind of weird how much of the Twilight Bark, like the pacing of this movie is one of the biggest compliments I can give it.
Yeah.
The only part, and I don't think it drags, but they could make that a bit more efficient in getting to the Colonel.
That's the kind of thing where it's like, it almost feels like the book had influence. Like that character's just in there for like a checkpoint almost. I don't know why, because they reference Towser.
I do like it.
I like it a lot. Yeah, no, I'm not complaining, but it does seem unnecessary. I will agree with that. Let's talk Hell Hall. I think that's the name of it. Yeah. And
the DeVille place.
One of the best things about this movie, I legitimately think, is the effort that was put into what's on the TV. Whether it be Thunder and his exploits, it's Canine Crunchies, which is an advertisement specifically engineered for dogs, which is hilarious. And then What's My Crime? I've got a trivia question for you, and I want to see how much you're paying attention.
Okay.
There's a character in What's My Crime. His name's Meathead. Can you tell me his actual name?
Oh, like Farbottle or Farbotter? Or...
Pretty close, actually.
What is it?
It's Percival Fontswater.
Fontswater.
Damn. Farbotter was actually like, I thought you were going to say like Farbottom or something. Not bad. Not bad at all.
I'm just like looking at the answer and I just can't read.
I see a lot of consonants. I don't know.
I give up. Like everything else in my life. Let's go.
Yeah. I love What's My Crime, and just, if your crime was not wobbly, was it some kind of a violation of a city ordinance of some type? Like, if you pay attention to what's on the screen, I think it's one of the best parts of this movie. In fact, I would even say it's my favorite scene in the entire thing. So
it's also weird that they never did this again with the TV thing.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to play that same beat, but that concept of having this like entertainment or something happening in the background that is just adding layers to that scene. And it's done with so much intention, like the geography that I was talking about, how this all can actually make sense where they were in the parks. The more you dive into this, the more impressive that they put a lot of heart into this and still kept it low budget with just caring how these things played out to the audience.
The feeling you're left with after it's over is just that was a great movie. That was a great movie. You know what I mean? And I think it's because they just didn't slack off, They gave tasks to animators that were actually going to get it done, took them away from ones that weren't going to.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Hit me, Sally.
I dare you to name a better parent Disney couple than Pongo and Perdy.
God damn.
Actually, we can go the parent route or just couple all time.
Yeah, I
not
have a
just
segment
previous.
queued up called Harrison's Heroes, and instead of one singular hero, and I could not be in more agreement with you right here, it is Pongo and Perdy, because this couple is the only one that I watch a Disney movie and don't say, would they make it? You know what I mean? Like, are they right for each other? Like, they are in perhaps the most stressful circumstances that a parenting duo or a couple can be in, to a degree. Like, all
No,
of
they
your children
are.
yeah.
They are.
And the snow, like when they're like tag teaming, how they're going to get 99 of these puppies out. They just never skip a beat. They are always on the same page. They communicate without communicating. They never quip or have any kind of cracks in the armor. That is the most solid couple in Disney history. We'll say it here. Fight us outside of London Park if you disagree. Straight up.
Yeah, I'll
put that
see you in
flag down.
Primrose Park.
Yeah, I'll see you in
Nice one.
Primrose.
Twilight Park, your
Yeah.
ass.
Give you a little Johnny Horner. You know what I
Two in a
mean?
row.
I tell you what, they are the true heroes of this movie, and make everybody else who's ever been romantically involved before them look terrible, in my opinion. That is,
and after as well. And I am a huge Lion King fan, but I still think I would have more confidence in them than Simba and Nala.
but there's already red flags.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. They got a lot to work through.
Pongo and
But yeah.
Perdy seem like they. I want. What
And they actually, and they had that conversation at the start where Pongo's really happy and Perdy's like very concerned about Corella and the puppies and everything. So it's not even like it's all like glossy billboard, like look how great this couple is. Like they are just living through
some
stuff I can't even imagine. And this is the first time I've watched it since I have a puppy.
And as a dog dad.
No, I'm not going to go down that road.
But
but I will say the stakes have never felt higher. Imagine just from Roger and Anita's point of view of 15 puppies fleeing and not knowing where the hell they are, but to like 15 of your kids being kidnapped, like from the Pongo and Perdy perspective, it's crazy how well that they're able to manage this whole thing.
I could not agree more. And that just reminded me, there's a scene in that where Perdy is talking to Pongo about Cruella when she's worried about it. It's in the first chapter, and she goes, what could she possibly want with them? She couldn't possibly love them. And I just imagine if someone came in and told her, actually, I think she actually means to kill all of them and then skin them and then wear them. I think that's what she's going for. Like, just how far off Perdy is thinking. Like, does she love? There's no way she'd love them and take care of them. She's like, oh, no, not even remotely on that planet. She's actually looking to exterminate. Like, I just think that is so funny how they make Perdy have no clue what's going on for most of it. I think it's pretty good. Colonel, Sergeant, the fight. I always think about what if Pongo like did what a real dog could do and like straight up went for Jasper's jugular and just like actually murdered him in that fight, which is a different ball.
All 99 puppies are just so mortified.
Like, go.
We're not going with that hyena.
Yeah, guys, sorry. I got a little. I'm a dog. I'm sorry. I saw it. I knew instinctually. I just knew. Yeah, that is. I mean, the fight.
God, that's a crazy twist to the story. If like Pongo came back to like Roger with just like blood all over him, and he just like turned into a killer.
There's newspaper cases.
What you're hanging out with Corella now? Yeah. You're number two.
She sees a lot of potential in me. You know, Raj. Yeah. Sorry, bud. Actually, you owe her money because of this. She said she'd get you back.
God, it'd be like an Anakin Padme situation.
Yeah.
Anita Perdy would die of a broken heart. The whole thing would, and you'd have a
unreal.
lot of younglings out there, but
trying to fight for themselves. I noticed in this movie, you see so much more than, or at least I did it more than I ever did before. The 15 versus the 84 that are there. The 15 are just a bunch of little bitches the whole time. Like, you got Rolly, who's always screwing stuff up. All of them are always complaining. You got these.
Are you about to criticize their kids?
Yeah, the pet shop puppies. They've been through some shit. They They're not concerned. They just do what needs to be done. They're like hardened dogs to a degree. And the 15 just seemed cushy, never had like a broken nail before. It really, like, that contrast is actually not
Yeah.
flattering for them.
Of course they haven't, because they've been alive for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but
Or
the other ones are
no,
the
they've
same.
been alive for longer, but they haven't really developed.
The other ones
It's
have
more
somehow.
it's more of a compliment to the other ones.
The other ones are some.
But yeah, puppies are absolutely helpless.
Yeah.
So I don't mind them all complaining and using TV as their escape out of the whole scenario that they're in.
Just saying, I think that Roger and Anita upgraded when they got some puppies that actually, even Pongo and Perdy. I think that them having these new ones make the other ones look bad.
Wow, that is so disrespectful, and I'm not
Sorry.
going to let you continue criticizing those collared 15 beautiful puppies.
The collared 15. Why don't you take us to chapter 3 then?
yeah, I like that term actually.
Yeah, me too.
Gosh, I'm gonna start using that somehow.
Almost as much as Jasper and Horison.
Yeah, almost. It just rolls right off the tongue.
It does.
So, they go to Dinsford,
which does not exist, I will say.
I know. That's a shame. That's
Kills me.
only one thing that. And speaking of geography, they go to Suffolk or Suffolk.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which is 77 miles from London. So that's how far Pongo and Perdy went on foot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, 77
Good point.
miles.
Okay, just put that in perspective.
Yep. So Dinsford, they are rolling in the soot to keep away from Corella. Everything's getting suspicious. They have the big famous driving scene, the escape in the moving truck, and then the Horace and Jasper run into Corella, and then they had the big celebration of the Dalmatian plantation. So my first question / observation, do you realize that Roger and Anita never technically know if Cruella de Vil was involved in the dog napping?
Whoa, they never actually get the answer, do they?
Is that weird?
That's the kind of thing that would keep me up at night for years after that, like not knowing. And like she might have, there's no way. I mean, it's not like
There's a chance Cruella like comes back into their life.
Yeah, and tries again even. Like she didn't get caught. She just got her car blown up. She's obviously got money. Who cares? Well, what is interesting though is there's a moment, and I never picked this up before, but Roger is obviously voicing his concerns in the beginning about the fact that it was Cruella, and Anita goes, "She's been investigated by Scotland Yard. What more do you want?"
Yeah, already.
They have her investigated, and also, how bad does this movie, and maybe every Disney movie I can think of in London, make Scotland Yard look like? Like, remember Peter Pan, where he's like, "Oh, call Scotland Yard!" Like,
yeah.
And then now Scotland Yard's like investigated the actual criminal and couldn't find anything. Like, are these guys just fucking running around on horses doing nothing? Like, what's going on with them? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cruella never is revealed, never really gets justice besides a broken vehicle.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And because Anita defended Cruella, I really think Cruella comes back in their life.
I do too.
And the dogs just bark like crazy the second she walks in.
Just have that moment when she walks in, just like,
nice coats.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really, that's something we'd like to sequel. I'll tell you that. Cruella re-entering their lives, how good.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
Here's a question about Cruella for you. This is a big statement, and I know you probably got something to say about it, but let's get there. Is Cruella the best voice performance in all of Disney? And if not, who's better?
Eleanor Audley Maleficent is better.
Okay, you're the wrong guy to ask if that's on the table.
No, you know that to be true though.
No way. I would disagree 100%. Cruella's range, voice performance. I'm not saying best villain. I'm not saying
yeah.
I'm saying the performance that Cruella puts on there. I was blown away. Maleficent is a great villain. I thought that the voice was fine.
Oh, fine. I'm leaving. I'm out. I can't deal with this. I mean, come on.
No shot. I think
think about Maleficent's monologue.
Yeah, it's good.
It's everything though. It's sarcastic. It's quiet. It's haunting. It's loud. The range is insane. And I love Cruella's voice. I mean, she's like top 3. She's definitely on the Rushmore of
If you
villain
picture
voices.
Cruella in the booth, I think there's no competition. Like that's a person who's delivering those like, you idiots, you fools. Like it's so good. And it is the whole way, like all of it's amazing.
How
Like,
could you let them go? Yeah.
I love when she walks
it is.
in. She
It
walks
is awesome.
in and she's like, how are you doing, Cruella? She says, absolutely wretched, darling, as usual. Absolutely terrible. Like just such a character. I think that range is much more impressive than the creepiness that comes with Maleficent. They are 2 different brands.
Yeah,
I would put my money on Cruella.
Respect the hell out of both of them. And also, voice of Cruella de Vil is also the narrator in Cinderella, which if you have 2 minutes, go back and listen to that, and you will actually hear Cruella's voice.
I've watched 101 Dalmatians twice in the past week, so I've got 2 minutes for that. I think.
Yeah.
I've got nothing better to do. You know, I understand we disagree. I do want to hear, because I know you do love your villains. Don't let don't bring Maleficent into it, but let me hear a little segment called Jay's Jailbird Jitters, where you talk some about this villain, you say you respect her. Let's see the proof in the pudding.
Yeah, I'm also gonna say Jeremy Irons as Scar as well is an incredible voice.
Now
we love some Jeremy Irons, and we've talked about how amazing he is. So yeah, he's definitely in the mix as well.
That is a very good point. Jeremy Irons is the boy.
Yeah, his voice is like so. There's something like almost too powerful about it.
True.
It like makes me
too
uncomfortable.
Much. It is too much. It's like Phil Collins on Tarzan. It's like, whoa.
Yeah,
pump the bees, Jeremy. All right.
Yeah, Cruella is one of my favorite villains, and the fact that they had Maleficent and Cruella back to back is just incredible. It's like a team doing back-to-back draft picks in the same draft. It's just amazing. Yeah, she's a very loved character for how despicable her goal is. She's not funny. She's pretty much one beat the entire time, but it still works so well, and people love Cruella. And it's really amazing. If you read what this character is all about, you would think everyone would hate her, but you could still rock a Cruella shirt, and it's not like people would be like, oh, it's not like wearing a Michael Vick jersey or something like that, you know? It's actually not that far away.
That's good. Point. It's almost less bad.
Yeah,
to wear a Michael Vick jersey than
it is less bad than wearing a Cruella shirt. So her PR people have done an amazing job. I was listening to the radio, and Sean Paul's Temperature came on. I'm not going to sing that, but for some reason it got into my head. Cruella would be a fantastic dancer. There is no chance that anyone could argue with me that at a wedding, at a bar, dance club, she would walk in and just take over the dance floor.
She would run things.
Wouldn't she?
I love
this. Isn't just me, right?
Sean Paul's when you said that, I was like, what is he about to say with Cruella? Dude, it's impossible to argue. If she was having a good time, everyone else is having a good time too. If she's having a bad time, everyone is probably still having a good time because of how extravagant she is.
She would definitely do like the little like coat thing, like show the shoulders, you know, and then like eventually take the whole coat off. I think she would, in a different era, she would have been an awesome dancer.
That's good. That's good.
And then if someone were to ask me, even a coworker, someone that doesn't really know quite to the level of Disney nerdiness I am, if someone asked me what would be the first couple of things you do with $1 billion, I still
Dalmatian coat.
No, but that would be something. Cape last week, coat this week. No, for me, I would buy the Cruella de Vil car, which it's called a Panther de Vil.
See, I thought it was a Coupe de Vil.
It's not.
It's not at all.
But
a Panther de Vil. That car.
A Panther de Vil. I think there's like 60 of them made.
No,
which is incredible. I'm sure that there's other models that look a lot like it, but I would have fake. I'm gonna say it again. Fake
real
Dalmatian print on the leather seats. So literally everywhere you go, you're making a Disney reference
Dude, that is the sickest thing you've ever said. That is such a good idea. Because that car is the dopest thing, let alone its performance capabilities, where it is buried in snow, gets enough acceleration to jump a tree.
Yeah.
Like that thing is unstoppable. I love how Corella just rides around honking her horn with no one around in like the backcountry of snowy London. Like
It's amazing.
just you hear it, and she's just that kind of person. She's the kind of person who'd crush a dance at a wedding where she's just whap, 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 like just riding around. But that car is the coolest vehicle I can think of right off.
Yeah. Which
So
it
true.
also
The Dalmatian
randomly.
print inside.
Oh my God, it would be amazing. But
It's almost it's like a step above when you see someone who's got the Jurassic Park Jeep.
okay, that is so weird. You said that. I was literally just about to bring that up. Do you remember in college there was
Yes,
that person
I
with
will
the?
do
It's not
that.
like that's a normal thing. What you just said. That is specifically of reference in Eugene, Oregon.
I don't know.
Where so
I
it's
like
not
to
like
think
oh
there's
people are
more.
driving around in
I
Jurassic
like to
Park
think
Jeeps.
there's more, dude.
But the fact that someone actually did do that, I respect the hell out of that.
Oh, that's
to
so true. We
dedicate a
did-
car to a movie reference.
And I never saw the guy who was driving.
I never did either.
One
But you gotta
time.
believe he or she would be awesome to talk with. Like if you're gonna
Regardless
make
of
a
who it
reference like
was,
that.
I think I would have gone up and just been like, "Clever girl," and then just walked away, like a quote from the movie or something. Oh,
Mm.
pretty,
Yeah.
pretty nice. Life
Or
finds
just
a
like a
way,
little
eh?
water, just
yeah. Yeah, just the little drops.
yeah.
Hold out your hand. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
that'd
they
be
would have
great.
paid him $1,000 to lie in the back bandaged up. Be like, oh, it's coming. Last thing we should talk about, just the fact that Roger makes his fortune and that his most popular song is on a pure diss track. And just what that would actually be like for, imagine Cruella, who's not in jail, not even charged. And then around town in everyone else's cars, you start hearing this essentially the Grinch, but Cruella version about how horrible she is. Can you imagine what you would do if like downtown you just started running like,
Is that song about me?
and just how nasty you are? Oh,
It is, yeah, it is the original diss song. And it's just crazy that people actually have that happen to them. You know?
yeah,
Like,
that's a good point.
People do actually have songs that are dedicated to someone, and they might not name them by name, but you could just be in a grocery store and hear that song, be like, "Oh God, this is the one about me being an asshole," and it's just weird that actually exists. But I would love to have the Cruella version of it where she just hears it on the radio. But it's also weird on the other end for Roger because you have this song, it gets successful.
Mhm.
Cruella is essentially the devil to you because she's taken your 15 puppies and potentially your 2 dogs. You don't really know what happened to them. And the pit in your stomach from that whole experience, but to actually have someone that you think it is, and that person helped you make that
Bare
song,
millions, yeah.
but like,
dirty money.
yeah, it's not even dirty money. It's like every time he hears it, he has to be reminded of Cruella and the dogs.
Oh,
It's bad
yeah.
for both of them, is my point.
And it's not like getting 84 dogs out of the mix at the end of it is a positive thing. I know they play it off well in their like jubilation, but dude, if my 15 already too many dogs come back with 84 other dogs, that's not, I laughed out loud when I saw that. You know what I mean? Like when I saw the amount of dogs that was in that house, I said, this is an absolute adult's nightmare. Like this is
Yeah.
not a good thing at all. And like the bills that they're going to have to pay, like all this stuff. But even further than that, you remember when Cruella was told that she could not buy the dogs and she said, I'll get you back for this. Like that's where she's at, right? She's at
Yeah.
that level like, oh, you'll be hearing from me because you just told me I can't buy your dogs. What's her revenge like when she hears a diss track about her? Like, you don't think she's coming back to take those puppies? Like I think there's a lot more farther on and down the line in that.
Oh
story.
yeah.
That rivalry continues, I believe.
I've never thought more of like just an easy sequel for the story to continue than this watch.
Mm.
And it's all based on the fact that they don't actually know Cruella did it.
Do you remember 102 Dalmatians?
No,
I
I
don't
know
either.
that there was a parrot or a bird in it,
Oh yeah.
right?
I think I don't remember, and I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I'm scared that we're saying stuff that's like happened, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we
Well, no,
get it."
I did watch the 101 Dalmatians, the animated version of
Ew.
the sequel,
Ew.
and it's like
Oh,
London's Big Adventure, or whatever, and it's not good.
Patches or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
not London. Yeah, Patch's Big Adventure, and he meets Thunderbolt.
It's called like the London 2012 Summer Olympics. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember any of them. We'll get to them someday. But if we have said something that's already been made into canon, I apologize.
It's not canon. No. A sequel or a live action sequel is not canon to what happens to Cruella. It can if you want it to be, but
canon.
Nice
Let's
one.
move to our favorite categories. Obviously, both of our favorite songs, I imagine, is Cruella de Vil and some weird other thing.
it is some weird other thing. Beautiful Spring Day, the song that Roger plays on piano to intro the movie. I legitimately listen to that song all the time.
It is nice. That's not a bad call at all. Who's your favorite character?
Pongo and Perdy.
Nice.
With a nice nod to Sergeant Tibbs.
Yeah.
We didn't talk enough about him, but Sergeant
know.
Tibbs is amazing.
Sergeant Tibbs is amazing. It's amazing how much a cat is a hero in a dog movie. My favorite character is the Colonel, just because of that satire against old British, military men.
Yeah.
Like, and just him in general. I mean, and actually, I will say my favorite quote is as well an exchange between them. He goes, "Well, we have them outnumbered, Tibbs. When I give the signal, we attack." And then Tibbs go, "Colonel, I think that'd be terribly disastrous." And he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
You think?" And I never picked up on that, but like, imagine if he was like 99 puppies, go try it. And these guys are like, okay, like, no shot. That exchange, it happens very quick. Sergeant Tibbs, the Colonel, they are in slashes here with a honorable mention to Richard Gere. And you might be wondering, Richard Gere is not in this movie. And I'd challenge you and say, yes, he is. Do you remember the Collie?
Yes.
I don't know if I knew about Richard Gere when I was like 8, but I have never seen that movie as an adult where I didn't think that the Collie and Richard Gere look exactly the same. And that guy in this movie is an angel. And I didn't realize he's the nicest dog.
He floats.
He's like an actual angel in this movie. And it's almost like you're like, did I imagine him? Did that really happen?
I drank too much.
Did Richard Gere just come into this movie and save Pongo and Perdy, or am I just tripping on what I'm drinking? Like that's my trio of killers there. What would you say your favorite scene is?
The DeVille place. It's amazing.
I said specifically what's my crime. But
yeah, the what's my crime thing. If you and I were Horson and Jasper in that situation, and we saw one of our like old friends on a show like that,
cannoli guy,
it's not you can't record it or pause or anything. We would be glued to that TV enough to where it is possible 99 puppies escape.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not actually that crazy. Like, it's not like, oh, look how dumb they are. If we saw our friend, we would be just as locked into the TV.
You want to talk about look how dumb we are? You saying that right now is the first time I've realized that they know Percival Fontswater.
What?
I thought they were just avid watchers of the show up until 35 seconds ago when you said that. And of course, they're criminal friends with Meathead.
Yeah.
Goes, look, Jasper, it's old Meathead. And I was like, another guy who's been on the show before. Like, they love this show. Why wouldn't they know him before? That is just blown my mind on camera, and I'm embarrassed that this is timeless now.
It's okay. It's all good.
Okay. So what was your favorite quote? I have a lot of usable quotes once you finish.
A lot. I'm going to say two main ones. So there's one, it's not, I don't abide by this quote by any means, but when the truck driver is driving away from Cruella and Cruella is driving like crazy, and the truck driver goes, what incarnation you trying to do, crazy woman driver?
We have discussed that quote for years.
It's hilarious, right? But it's also very funny that to him it's just like a normal day of driving. Yeah. That like Cruella is literally driving off the road,
can you believe
down
these
trees
people?
with her car, and it's like he's so casual about the
ramming him on either side, like working around to try and take him off the road. He's like, can you believe some people? I love it.
And then the other one is I say this all the time, like probably at least once a month. when Sergeant Tibbs goes, one at a time, one at a time.
That's pretty good.
I say it all the time.
That's the thing about this movie is there were so many checkpoints where I realized I use this quote all the time. Or you could. I'm liable to throw out the puppies. At times it doesn't necessarily make sense, but it makes sense more than you think. And yet I wonder is a
And yet I wonder is a great
that's a good one. I love that with the Roger Rub, which honestly sounds like a
It sounds
London
terrible.
slang. I
Stop
wish I
saying
would
that.
stop saying that. Yeah.
Be a great pub name.
Oh, I went down to the pub, got myself a Roger Rub, you know what I mean?
That's great.
All through high school, I threw out, I'm hungry, mother. I'm hungry. That was my go-to. I was thinking one long howl, too short, one whoop and a yiff. You could put that down as the kind of thing when you're saying they were talking nonsense. Or like, hey, someone called for you. Oh, what'd they say? One long howl, too short, one whoop and a yiff. Nothing that you need to worry about. Like, I love that much.
That's a good application. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. And then my last one, I'll say, I have a few. There's so many.
There's a lot.
There's so many, but I'll say this last one, and honestly, RIP, this is not a joke. RIP Kobe. But when people throw stuff and they say Kobe, I think people could throw stuff and say, a la mode. When he throws that bottle.
That would be good.
A la mode. I think that'd be so good. And I'm going to try and start using it.
I like that.
Also, one quick message to Disney if they're ever processing this for a lawsuit or something. There's a moment when all the dogs are barking in the city for the Twilight Bark, and there's one person in the background who goes, "Will you be quiet?"
Yes.
If you guys ever need anything like that, me and Jay would be so passionate about that work. So tap us. We will come do it. Leonardo DiCaprio as a youngin' and my mother will love it. The fans of this show. And Disney, we know you're watching. We would love and are happy to do it. I would even do it for free. I'm not gonna speak for Jay, but I'll do that. But I'll be the will you be quiet guy.
How awesome would it be for that Twilight Bark scene? That billboard of the canine crunchies and lights. How awesome would that be to have and just put on your house
or something?
No, on your house.
Like on the outside?
Yeah. On the outside. So like people are just driving by. It's like, a constant Disney reference.
If you moved into a neighborhood and you saw someone with a Canine Crunchies sign on their house, would that be your first move?
Yeah. If I saw, if anyone ever makes a Canine Crunchies reference, I am forever their friend.
Yeah.
Like it could be a criminal and they bring up a Canine Crunchy reference. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess I'll help you with the body or whatever.
A Canine Crunchy reference. I love that that's even a thing. I think this is dumb to even ask. Is this worth a rewatch if you've watched it as a kid? Is it worth a watch if you've never seen it? Does that change anything? I think it's a great movie.
Oh yeah. You gotta watch it. I really hope that a young kid would still love this movie.
Yeah.
I'm confident that they would, but I don't know. It is like
it's a real
it's
thing.
good pace, but it's not like that flashy.
Can we even be sure what a young kid would want right now?
I don't know.
I
It scares
hope
me.
If and you know what? I think there's that thing, like we're getting older, unfortunately. There's those moments you're like, kids, like I hate what they're watching, what they like, blah, 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 blah. But you always wonder, am I just saying that because I'm getting older? Like that's what happens. That's what old people say. If kids stop liking this movie, that's when I'll know it's not just me. Kids are pieces of shit now. This is it. Like, that's it. Like, it's not a thing. And that's not bias. That's like, if kids have deviated so far to where 101 Dalmatians doesn't get them going, we're done. We're done.
Yeah. We're done. No, it's true.
Yeah. So with that, let's go into our playground pick'em. Let's do our version as best we can come up with of a prequel and a sequel. Maybe pick which one you think is your favorite, which one you think is your best idea. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second because I'm that confident.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
bring it.
It was a mistake.
And you're gonna apologize like you did with the LaCroix at the start. It's gonna be a full boomerang. Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, bookends of apologies from Harrison. Mine is simply it's a prequel, and it's Roger and Anita a crash version of them, let's say 2 years, a year before this happens. I want to see Roger as an aspiring musician, go into music school, the different stuff when he gets Pongo, when he, fights against and battles that we don't even know he's fought. Add some character development. Flip over simultaneously. I want to see Anita. I want to see Cruella at the same school, how that relationship developed, how they even became friends, where that whole, and maybe they'll go there. And then I want the movie to end at the scene where they meet. And I think that'll be it.
Gosh, Rogue One style with what you said at the end. But I really like it's almost like what they did with Monsters Inc. or Monsters University, how they went back to the college days. Yeah, I'm in. That'd be fun.
What would you say sequel wise? If let's just come up with a sequel. I've obviously got, there's that moment where they're talking about a Dalmatian plantation, and then Granny, or what's her name? Ducky?
Nanny.
It's not Nanny. Okay. Nanny's like, it'll be a sensation. And I imagine them both being like, oh, wow. Yeah. Actually, we're going to need a lot higher caliber of help if we're going to have a countryside home. Nanny, you've been amazing, but I don't think you we'll talk about contracts or whatever. But anyways, I want to see how that plays out. That Dalmatian plantation. Are you joking? Yeah, right. 99 in a home. Are they selling them? Do they have to sell a couple?
Yeah. So one Saturday morning, did you ever watch that as a kid?
Mm-mm. I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh. ABC Saturday mornings, they would have Recess and the 101 Dalmatians TV series.
Which looks gross to me. I hate
these. Oh yeah. The art is very weird, but it all takes place on that plantation.
Oh really? Okay,
so it is cool.
Okay.
It's not great though. Cruella's like a weird slapstick character.
Yeah, it looked gross. I did see some references to it. What would you say is a sequel? Anything beyond that, or is just
I want Cruella to go to jail for this. Ooh. Eventually it does happen, and she shaves her head. She's in jail, and I've never seen this show, but I imagine it being something kind of like this. No no, you just named a random show. Orange is the New Black.
Hill. Oh yeah, where she's like,
so wouldn't it be kind of fun to have her own
great one.
Girls and just have like a gang of peeps and have their different interactions? And for some reason Cruella with the shaved head completely fits.
Oh,
it's not like a weird thing. And Natalie Portman.
I'll give you the LaCroix. I apologize. I think you won that one. That was good.
You.
That was really good. I loved it. Okay, let's round it out with a toast to this movie. There's a lot to toast to. Jay, what do you got?
Yeah. To the best Disney parents, showing me the love, courage, and dedication it takes to be a great parent.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Unfortunately, I should have gone first because now I sound like an asshole. I said to Pongo and Perdy for silently showing me what a relationship is supposed to look like. May you live for 101 years. Human years.
I love that.
I put like 19 of these in there. It was a mistake. That brings us to the end. That was 101 Ds. Just when you thought you couldn't get enough. It's
Roger Rub.
It was our old Roger Rub of the 101 Ds. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening. What do we got next, Jay?
We have Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone. Totally different direction.
It's got to come down at some point. So Sleeping Beauty.
We'll see.
101 and now Sword in the Stone.
We can get through this together. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye. Playground Pick'em.
This is just a complete remix. We got some problems with Coco Melon. YouTube would shut us down, so we had to sneak it into Sword in the Stone. We had to pretend
it's about Sword in the Stone, but really, Coco Melon is ruining our youth. Dude, if you had told
Sword
me
in the Stone / Coco Melon review.
Dude, that should be the title.